Hello, it's Jimmy here. The righties have another Mercedes C220 diesel. Okay, so the problem with this car is he's had a DPF clean and shortly afterwards lights come back on. So we got an engine management light down there. Now I can already see that the coolant temperature is reaching 90 degrees. He's driven from 2 hours away. Very low mileage I can say on this car. It's done 57,000 miles. Okay, so using the launch Eurotab 3 we have ran a diagnostic scan here. So we've got a few different messages. So one is communication of the combustion engine has a malfunction, message missing. Soot content of the particle filter is not okay, there is a component fault. Now very common issue with these is the DPF pressure sensor can be faulty. Now even though it looks like it's working, the resistance inside it or whatever is just not right and it can just chuck up faults. Sensor for the hood has a malfunction, communication again, electronic ignition communication implausible, steering column implausible or communication errors, active brake assist again communication errors, electric power steering communication problems. So it's likely he's also got a battery issue, which is maybe chucking off all of these faults. He says it's not been in an accident, because I've just asked him. You know, when you get sort of these sort of faults, you think, has the car been in an accident? But it hasn't. So I'm here to fix this problem, P2463. Now, my normal procedure for that, I'm going to go through it. But obviously we've got a little bit of something through in the works here with these communication faults with the ECU. So hopefully these are not a problem, and we're just going to go with cleaning the DPF, and I'm going to replace the sensor here that reads the pressure of the DPF. We'll go into this fault and we'll have a look at some live data. Okay, we'll go to the data stream and diesel particulate filter and actual values. So we have main odometer reading 92,000 kilometers. Total regenerations of the particle filter only 21. Main odometer reading since last regeneration, it says, was 430 kilometers ago. So it looks like it did try and do a regen, which is concerning, because why is the DPF blocked if it has? So distance since last correction of the ash content was 91,000 miles ago. So apparently he's had the DPF cleaned and reset on this, but obviously it hasn't been reset because 90,000 kilometers ago since that's been reset. And what can happen is, no matter if you've cleaned the DPF, if you haven't reset the ash content, the car is just going to block up the DPF again. Fill level is calculated at 400% and 25 grams of soot. DPF pressure at idle is 52 or 53 millibars there, HPAs. Let's rev it up to 3000 RPM. Got about 340. Everything else seems to be okay. So it looks like we've just got a blocked DPF and the ash content hasn't been reset. So the main thing that we need to look at here is the pressure of the DPF anyway. So we've got 53, 54 millibars of pressure. That needs to be reading around about 1 to 10 millibars of pressure. So we need to clean it and see if we can get that down, and we're going to fit a new sensor. Okay, so here is the engine we're looking at. It's a 2.1 Euro, well, it is a Euro 6 this one, but it's not the later Euro 6. I'm sure it's probably got AdBlue on it. Okay, we've got the engine cover off. Now we're just going to unplug the air mass sensor and we're going to disconnect the ECU over here. It's a couple of E10 bolts. Okay, now we've got all 4 of those out. The ECU should lift up from the airbox. Now normally I'd take out the airbox, so I'm not sure if I'm going to do that on this one, because it looks like we have access to the pressure sensor right here already. It's just at the back right here. We've got 2 hoses that attach to it, one before the DPF and one after. Now if you haven't got an E10 socket, an 8mm ratchet will fit perfectly on one of those bolts. And if you've got a flexi head, it is perfect to get this open without dismantling anything else. So that's loose now. Okay, we're just going to get this out. Now if we flip the sensor around, you've got two little clamps on it there. We need a special little pliers to open those. Okay, we've got those clamps loose with a pair of these pliers here. So I use one of these trim tools here to get over the holes and push it off. And then we have the sensor out. This is a Denso one. So these were the more common type that used to fail on the older type. I'd imagine these Densos are a little bit better than these ones used to be. But we're going to stick one on it anyway. Right, now we need to figure out which holes do we put the DPF cleaner in, because which one is the one that goes before the DPF. I already know, but I'll show you how. Got a digital manometer, and one pipe we've got about 3 millibars of pressure. The next pipe we have 55 millibars of pressure, which confirms what the sensor was reading. So that's the second sensor in. One right here. Right, so I've got my Milwaukee compressor set to 130 psi, and I've got a gun and DPF cleaner kit here from Launch UK. And what I'm going to do is get this end of the nozzle down into this tube here that we've got the high pressure on. Just push it down nice and tight, and then all we've got to do is squeeze the trigger. That is going to push this fluid down. It creates it into a foam, so it expands, and it's going to fill the DPF and get that soot burned down. Give you a little look of what that comes out like. So it expands it into a foam. So now I'm going to let the engine run for a few minutes just to let that clear out there, and then we can get the new sensor connected back up. Okay, that's everything fitted back, new sensor on. We can bin the old one. Okay, now we just need to watch the live data of the pressure there. See how low down we can get that. It's just dropped down from 360 there, and within a couple of seconds. We're at 140. Now at 120. Okay, so we're now down to around about 70 millibars of pressure, and idle is around about 11. So now in special functions, I'm going to go to teach in process, replacement of the particle filter. Otherwise that 400% soot loading is not going to disappear. Okay, we've got the engine back running again. What we're going to do is we're going to reset this back to 0, reset the 400% fill back to 0. You can see the DPF pressure now is even coming down to 7 millibars. So let's press OK. Now it wants me to switch the engine off. We'll press F2, and that is successful, so continue. Now we'll do a clear of the DTCs. Now the DTCs are cleared, engine light will be gone, and we will have full revs on the car. So we'll now give it a couple of more minutes until that steam or vapor there goes away from the exhaust. Take the vehicle on a test drive to confirm it's all okay. Now final result, 39 millibars at 3000 RPM. And at idle there we have 4.9 millibars. I think I got that wrong as well at the start. Total distance at last correction of ash, not since. So make sure we've got no fault codes left. Now we run a battery test. We have 10 ohms of resistance, 8% battery health, and it's at 85% charge. I know the battery is connected to the car, so it's not 100% accurate, but I would suggest a new battery. So that's it, all finished. Mercedes C220. See you in the next video.